What's up, you beautiful collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Netflix Transformers War for Cybertron, spoiler box? I guess we can call it that. Before we get into too much of this, I'm going to preface this that obviously because of the title of the box, there could be potentially spoilers for the upcoming War for Cybertron series. So if you don't want to know anything about it, don't watch this video, I guess. But from what I've seen, the spoilers aren't so much what you get, but what is actually written on the box itself. For the package, though, you can see that it's done up to kind of look like an ammo box. Not really a lot is kind of hinting towards what's in it, other than, I mean, you got like a little fake handle. You come around to the back, it says spoilers. When you do look closely here, it says that includes 2 figures, a compound, 3 Energon Cubes, accessories, and instructions. That the compound is not intended to be eaten, and it does contain wheat. All this stuff is written in a whole bunch of different languages, so there's a lot of different things kind of spread throughout here that kind of give some stuff away. And then you come around to the side here, and you can see an image of Ultra Magnus, which leads you to believe that that's the figure that's in this. And because all of the new Netflix figures are repaints, it's safe to say that it's a repaint of that Transformers Siege Ultra Magnus figure. But again, there are potentially spoilers going forward. So if you don't want to see what's inside this box, stop the video, come back at a later time. You've been warned, now I'm going forward. So the box, it opens up like this, and first of all, you got this, it's all empty and everything. You got this compound thing right here, which I'll touch on in a bit. It's kind of weird. You open this, and then inside here is where the figure's stored. But this is the piece that people are wondering in terms of the spoilers. Let me get this. I'm just going to rip that. Who cares? This is the part that people are talking about as the spoiler. There's nothing really else anywhere on there. I mean, you had some Cybertronian right here. I'm not even sure what that actually says. I do know what those say. And while, yes, I could see it as being spoilerific, what it actually means, we don't know. This passage right here, which you can go to the Transformers website and type all this in and actually translate it, says, I, Ultra Magnus, in good faith, hereby surrender to you. Now what that means, again, no idea. We're going to have to watch the show, but clearly Ultra Magnus surrenders in some capacity. Interestingly enough, you see that there's a Decepticon logo right there. You come down here, there's an Autobot logo and another message. This one says, this can only mean one thing. Ultra Magnus is dead. Again, I have no idea what that means. Here he's surrendering, here he's dying. But what's also interesting to note is these are in quotations, so it's somebody saying something. Obviously, this is Ultra Magnus because he's like, I, Ultra Magnus. And then down here, potentially is someone else saying this can only mean one thing. Ultra Magnus is dead. So that's really interesting. What it means, I have no idea. But that's the spoiler for you. It's not really anything to do with the product so much as what is written on the box. But for the packaging on this, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Okay, now here we have the figure, which obviously is a repaint of Ultra Magnus, opened up out of his packaging and in his vehicle mode. Now, as I mentioned, I don't really necessarily think that this is a spoiler because they showed his picture on the box. What could potentially be a spoiler is this. This is the compound that they talk about. And to me, this is weird. So you get this little container, unfortunately, and it's got this little sealed section right here. And when you take it out, this is what you have. I put it in a little Ziploc bag because what's interesting is this is basically Play-Doh. You can see it really leaves a lot of residue all over. But this is like Play-Doh. I don't know why. I mean, it even smells like it. To me, this is a weird inclusion of sorts, although it feels really cool to squish it. If you're going to be hiding something, you'd think you would use something not quite like this. And what this has hidden in it are 3 Energon Cubes. They're tiny. Get that out of there, and that's all dried out already. So yeah, that's why I want to keep that kind of in a bag. But these are little tiny Energon Cubes. You can see that they're in this pink translucent plastic, which is really very cool. A lot of Energon Cubes that have been done by third-party companies, things like that, have this kind of look to it. So really very nice. And literally, like I said, they're plugged into a little baggie here. I don't know why. At first I thought it was just a little bag that was inside here, and that would make sense, but this almost makes it look like it's purposeful. So why it's like this, I don't know. But maybe you can create little spots for the Energon Cubes on there. Again, I have no idea. That could, like I said, potentially be a spoiler, but I am kind of disappointed that in terms of giving us this, and it's, you can play with it and smelling it. It absolutely smells like Play-Doh. If you have played with Play-Doh, you know what Play-Doh smells like. For them to not give you a reusable container to store this in is kind of unfortunate, unless this is just meant to get thrown away. I don't know why you would want to throw it away, though, because it's kind of fun. So I'm going to just squeeze out the air in this and just keep it there. Or maybe I can find a container to put it in. But like I said, at first I thought it was just a little bag that had these little bits in there, but it doesn't. So that's interesting. Now for the figure itself, as you can see, he does come in a repainted form. It's a lot darker of a plastic, but there's a lot of extra added paint as well, like in the cab section, as opposed to just being a white molded plastic. There's a lot of white paint here, which is nice. He also does come with an extra accessory, that being Battle Rung. Now, Rung was a little figure that we got previously. I don't think I ever got him, but this is a translucent, again matching the kind of color here, a pink translucent plastic. You do have these extra energy effects. I don't know if these are new or if we've gotten these before, but these are nice little bits. But here he is. He transforms into a bit of a gun. You take this, rotate that down, separate his legs, and fold this bit back like so. I don't have the other one to compare it to, so I apologize, but I do like the way this guy looks. He really does kind of remind me of a Minicon, just because of like his size and everything. I mean, it works pretty good. I think that it looks nice. Some nice silver paint, some blue for the eyes. You got some silver that goes across the top of that as well. You got that little blue section right there. But this is Battle Rung, not to be confused with regular Rung. So that's a new accessory that you get with him as well. But figure-wise, like I said, basically the same. It's just a repaint. So let's set him there. And here's that original one. So like I was saying, a much darker color. You can see that along the side here, you got this nice black that fades into the blue, whereas this is just all blue. You got a lot more gray around here. As I was talking about, the white section here is painted as opposed to this one, which is just molded, which does look really nice. And then I really like the color of this front section here as opposed to this one. Well, this one's not bad, but it's got that battle damage on there. I mean, the overall look is really nice. And that's one thing about all of these Siege figures, the Netflix ones, is that the paint detail is really very nicely enhanced. You can see that this kind of looks like it's a little bit darker. The windshield looks a little bit darker than this one. But like I said, really nice white paint here. It stands out very nicely. And then you can see that the weapons are also different. So as opposed to the more classic white and red shoulder missiles, this is all done in a dark gray plastic. These regular handguns, I'm trying to see, are these... those look like they're the same, but the previous version had a nice silver tip to it, so that's nice. And then you can see that his regular large handgun up here is done in this dark gray plastic as opposed to the silver of the previous one. So I mean, in general, it is really good. It really, really is. You can see the top section here with the difference. One thing that does kind of stand out as different is because the different colors are a little bit off from side to side. As I've talked about many times, it's not symmetrical of sorts. So one of the things is his smoke stacks right here. You can see one is a dark color, one is not. You know what? Put that right there. Oh, that kind of looks cool. Do something like that. Little flames coming out of his exhaust pipes. That's neat, man. I don't know. But I do like the variation of the paint. The muted color does look really nice. I don't know, though, necessarily, again, if I like it enough that I would replace this with this one. Both are great figures. The molds are fantastic. I'm trying to keep all the accessories lined up proper. So it will come down to a personal preference sort of thing. Obviously, if you like this character in the new Netflix series, you might want one that's a little bit more akin to that likeness as opposed to the one that looks more like the G1 cartoon. But again, as I said, it's all a matter of personal preference. Now, transformation is the exact same. Nothing changes, so there's no real need for me to focus on it. So when we come back after these brief messages, we'll take a look at Ultra Magnus in his robot mode. And here we have Ultra Magnus in his robot form, specifically his unarmored version. A lot of people forget that there is a little tiny white Optimus Prime basically underneath there, and here that is. Again, you see a lot more of that gray color, but I love the fading that they did. You can see it here with the dark gray fading to a lighter gray going down to the white. This is kind of what I was talking about where they have the asymmetrical look with the dark side here, the light side. Ooh, no, dark side, light side. Ooh. I do wish there was a little bit more of that fading done on his forearms. You can see that the front have it, but the sides don't. And then you can see that you have the extra paint applications on the outside of his fist, which, yeah, it's not bad. You have that going down here with the legs as well. Now, one thing that I talked about earlier was that this looks like it's darker. That's actually not entirely accurate. Here is the original one. Again, you can see the difference here. This is pretty much just molded in a white plastic, whereas this one has a lot of white paint. But like I was saying, this looks a little bit darker than this. That's because on the inside here, if you open this, get that. That's really stiff. Pulling this apart, the inside here has a silver paint put onto it. So when you look at it through there, you can see a silver paint on through this blue translucent plastic. So that's why it looks darker, because this doesn't have it. This is more just a hollow sort of thing, which does give a darker look to it. You can see that this guy does have some of that paint splash throughout it, which still looks really nice. You got a lot more of that metallic blue paint. You have an Autobot logo up here. I do like the paint on the head a little bit more. You can see that's a much more vibrant white, whereas this one is a little bit more dulled down. But also the blue coming in here, I think that the blue paint looks much nicer on the new one. One thing that is also lacking, because they put the white paint on there, they didn't paint the yellow for the little lights up there. That's, you know, neither here nor there, but I do like the much brighter white on this. I don't really like all the scorch or paint fade, although the paint fade looks nice. I don't like it nearly as much. I like it a lot more clean looking, honestly. And obviously, one thing that's also really noticing is he doesn't have an Autobot logo there. He does there. So that's how Ultra Magnus looks, but we're more used to seeing him armored up. So again, using that good old-fashioned optibotimus movie magic, we're gonna go from him looking like this to looking like this, and this looks great. I mean, the dark color is really different for Ultra Magnus. It has a very, very, I don't know, just darker element. I know that sounds cliche because obviously he's darker, but there is something really very striking about him. Now, for the comparison right away, let's do it. There is a big difference, obviously, in terms of the look. This is a very bright color. This is very dark. As we saw with the spoiler thing, there is a whole he is dead aspect. Maybe the darker color represents him dying. I don't know. I mean, his eyes are actually still blue, so I don't really subscribe to that theory too much. But you know, he also kind of looks a little bit shorter. That's weird, isn't it? Is that like a weird ass optical illusion that I'm seeing? Well, maybe it's because the feet. Let me bring the feet a little bit closer. That's, I don't know, there's a weird illusion sort of thing going on here that, oh, maybe it's just I don't have the legs spread out as much. But much darker, very striking, the difference. I do like how they got this as this dark color to match along with that. Again, that fade carries on here. You got like this white painted on here, which is cool, but you got that lacking on the other side. All sorts of that different fade is everywhere. You got that with the thighs, you got that with the front of his shins, which would be the back of his trailer mode. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, if you're a fan of the character as he's going to be in the Netflix series, you might like this, and I do. It's just, for me, this is still the look that I prefer for Ultra Magnus. Now, for all of his weapons, obviously, you can have him holding these. Typically, I just take these and put these nicely there in the legs. He's got his giant hand cannon right here that you can have him hold, which does look cool. Also, you can take this little dude. Let's see, let's transform him up right quick. Get all that done in there, squeeze that. Obviously, he becomes an extra little handgun for him, so can kind of do whatever you want in terms of a display with this guy. You can have him hold this in this hand if you're so inclined. You can throw in the little Energon Cubes right there. Let's get the thumbnail done up for this guy. But I mean, it is kind of tough for me to recommend him, because I do think that the previous version is considerably better looking. It just is a matter of personal preference. If you like this look for him in the show, I think that you're gonna like the figure, because the mold is fantastic. So it's gonna work still. It's just all a matter of personal preference, really. The darker tone really does look nice, though. Like I said, I don't know if necessarily they're trying to go with that dead look like they hinted towards on the package. Maybe this goop covers him and it steals his life force. Who knows? There's all sorts of weird things that could be happening with this guy. The mold is still fantastic, so I do really, really like that. It's just a matter of, do you like the color scheme? And for me, I do, just not as much. So there's your information on him. There's your look. If you watched it and you're mad at me for spoiling, well, hey, I warned you. But all that being said, all of these Netflix figures are exclusive, at least here in North America, to Walmart stores. So if you're looking for them, good luck and happy hunting. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one very, very simple thing for me. And that's just to hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, I want to send a huge shout out to my patron, Adam, who through his direct support has made this review entirely possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron like Adam, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/optibotimus. And as always, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.